And we're good to go.
Awesome. Welcome,
Right.
everybody. Or do I give him more time?
No, we're good. Go ahead.
No time. Here, they're in or out. Welcome, everybody, to another Katasi Healing Talk today. Today's talk was inspired by my buddy Laura. And her wife Pat. They were talking about thinking yourself awake, which we haven't found works, but we're going to talk about more of why thinking doesn't work and how the feeling aspect is important to the awakening and exactly the magic in this world that it can awake. And so today, gathered here, I'm Laura Ketty. This is Laura Philpott. And we have two of our absolute favorite people. Don't tell our spouses. We have Helmet and Kay here to help enlighten us on the subject. Kay is our teacher and elder and the keeper of all this fantastic, amazing, mind-blowing, awakening understandings, ancient understandings that we so appreciate her for. So Kay, why can't we overthink? Because we're really good at
it. Trained well. Yeah. Well, that's what the ancients say. Everyone that I have poked my nose into, every tradition, old and kind of recent, and they say that you cannot think yourself awake. The mind is just not designed to do that. And that's because your mind is really linear. It's designed to be linear and to do linear analytical thinking functions. And there's only just so far that it goes. Now, these ancient teachers, they said the mind is a tool of your heart, a tool of your song, your beingness. It's not any more than that. And what's happened in our modern culture is that they've put mind at the top of the list. They put mind in control of everything. And one way the ancients would describe that is that they put the linear mind, which is a very masculine kind of an energy, in the middle of the circle. And they shoved the female, the feminine, not just to the peripheral line of the circle, but way out there. So that the women, the mothers, and the children are scooted way out, and they don't count anymore. Everything that's feminine, everything that is non-linear, everything that is spiritual has been pushed out of our circle. And as the tyrannical ruler, the dot in the center of the circle, it's become a very big dot with a very big throne. And that's our male energies. And that's linear thought, your mind. And it's not equipped to run everything. It's just, it was never designed to be the boss of everything. So that just makes for a circle that just doesn't work. A life that doesn't work, a life that is out of balance. When we're talking about spiritual things, this has to do with everything that's non-linear. everything that has to do with our feelings. And we have different kinds of feelings, and we have feelings that are coming from our senses, our physical senses. We have feelings about things. We have feelings from our heart. We have emotions, all different kinds of emotions. And the spirit, your spirit itself, has its own set of senses. And those are all of a feeling nature. You can never find these senses of the spirit, or the other way they talk about them is the spirit abilities, the magic, so to speak. It's often been referred to by many as magic. These are all nonlinear things. They're all of the female, of the feminine. And you can only find them by learning how to feel. You can't get there any other way. The linear mind has no tools to get you past what they call the veil that lies between the physical 3D time space world, the male, masculine, mental part of our existence. This, what we seem to notice the most when we're here on planet Earth. We notice the physical things, and in our modern culture, the physical and the mental, that is what's been ruling. That's what's sitting on the throne. And there shouldn't even be a throne. It's a circle with a dot in the middle, and the women and the children are there. And sometimes the elders, when they get too old to be able to do other kinds of tasks, they're not required to do other tasks. They're just required to talk and maybe guide with ceremonies, and they might be included in the center of the circle with the women and the children. And that's to be protected. Everything feminine, female, non-linear, spiritual, that is to be protected. And that's the ring around the circle. That's where the men are. That's where all the male and the masculine is, in a balanced circle. And it's the job of the men to protect and provide for, take care of, see that the women are happy and healthy and safe. Because if the women aren't healthy and happy and safe, everything starts falling apart, goes downhill real fast. The kids aren't happy. The men aren't happy. If they have any pets or barnyard animals or anything, then they're not happy. Plants aren't happy in their garden. Everything falls apart. So that's why you can't get to the spiritual stuff. You can't see beyond the physical and these physical parameters of 3D time, space, and the linear mind. You just can't get past it, see what's on the other side of that wall, or as they often called it, veil. And it's this male dominance creates a lot of dependence on the male, and a lot of belief in just the physical things, just the physical needs. And even to at this point in our modern culture, they denounce what's past that wall. Everything female, everything that is of a feminine, spiritual, non-linear nature. They say that it doesn't exist or it's worthless. And that's where the modern world is now. They can't feel past the wall. They don't know how to feel even the depths of their physical senses and emotions. They just don't know how to go there. And they aren't going to be able to find anything spiritual. So the only way to break that box, break the veil, crack Humpty Dumpty's egg, is to start learning how to feel on all levels, feel at all depths and all levels, all kinds of feeling. Just dive into it and feel as much as you can. Even the physical senses, if you let them, are a doorway. They're a doorway to the spiritual world. And their emotions are another very big doorway to the spiritual world, to those feeling levels. When I was in a class, being taught by my Egyptian teacher, sometimes it was just me. We were working on a special higher level of teaching about the elements, traveling spiritually, journeying into the different elements. And there's a certain gateway, there's a certain set of steps that you take in the Egyptian tradition that gets you to the door, that gets you into each one of the elements, the world that has made up of only that one element. And you have to back out of it, back into this more central place. When you want to get out of, say, water, you want to go into the earth element or the air element, you have to back all the way out, find that doorway, that special way of doing things, and then go in there. And when I was in one of those worlds and wanted to get to the other one, something just kind of, it was a feeling, this like almost like hearing, but not quite. It was kind of like a voice, but not quite, but a big feeling. Go take a look at that wall. You're close to a big wall over there. Go take a look at the wall and you'll see a doorway and it'll go straight into the other element you're looking for. You'll go straight into that. And so I did that. And I found a shortcut. I found a secret shortcut from one elemental world into another. And I could flip back and forth and go anywhere really, really fast. And that was very exciting. And when I got out, I was all excited, and I told my teacher all about it. And she was just amazed, because I wasn't supposed to learn that for another 3 or 4 levels of teaching. These teachings from the very beginning are geared to open you up, to open your physical senses up and all your spirit senses and your emotions to greater depths and into the non-linear. in the nonlinear experiences and possibilities. And the old way of looking at how much there is out there. The Egyptians, with their hieroglyphics, they have the Egyptian cat goddess Bast, or Bastet, Bastit, has a bunch of different names that are similar to each other, but I think we've probably heard mostly Bast. She's got a hieroglyph, and this hieroglyphic is a curved line, the top, just sort of, like that, and it's touching a square that goes down, long rectangle, really, and it goes down, and the top of that rectangle, there's a little half of a cross on the top. And what that symbolizes is the joining of male and female. The curve at the top is a uterus. It's a womb. It's the womb of the universe. It's endlessly big. That's the spiritual world. That's female. The womb, the female. And it's absolutely endless and full of all the potential that you could ever dream up. And that very squared off rectangle, little thing on the top, that's male. That's a phallus. And they're in union. They're in union. And in later days, the festivals of Bast had turned into an orgy. They were a multiple day festival of constant orgies, all the liquor you could drink, and food, and dancing, and music, and all the hoopla that you could imagine. But originally, in the old days, what that meant was the union of the male and the female parts of our being. The physical and the mental, linear, physical, that's the square, that's the phallus, the male aspect. That female could be represented by a crescent moon or the horns of the cow, because back then they didn't cut the horns off of female cows. They bred them so that they had these beautiful, long, curved horns that symbolized the womb of the universe. So the male is very limited. It's linear. It's got a lot of straight lines, 90-degree angles, corners, and it's stiff. It's just physical. It only contains things that are physical in the physical world. And the curved line, the womb, the female, is all potential. It's the whole universe of everything, all potential. And they're coming together. And that's what waking up is. Bast represented waking up out of the stupor of the male dominance, the linear mind dominance. We've learned how to make the linear mind our prisoner. And the guard, the warden. So we got it held prisoner, but it also is dominating us in a nasty, nasty way, very diminishing, controlling way. And to break that, we need to, as we call it, wake up. We have to see that that's like living in a little box, a little cardboard box, or living in a big fog, half asleep or all asleep. We have several different names that people have called that. One of them is pretty nasty. It's called The Walking Dead. That's what the Hedicas first said to me. That really shocked me. I was offended. When I first heard that, that was like the first or second day I was with them. And I was really offended. But then I had to, I mean, it stuck. It would not unstick in my mind. My linear mind really grabbed onto it and just kept shoving that image, in my face. And I had to think about it. And I realized after a while what they really meant and that they were not wrong. We are a society that is asleep. And we're way too male dominant and way too limited. Male was never, ever intended to be the ruler of our lives. It's intended to be a tool that you can turn on and off. With the right training, you can get to where you just say, stop, stop. Whenever you're babbling along, stop. And you don't perceive any mental talking or thinking about old things or your mind jumping all over the place. You just get into a very, very quiet place where you can perceive the nonlinear. You could perceive more of what actually exists. And all the magic is there. All the healing is there. All the medicines, the techniques, and the right, better thing to eat, to know that knowledge. And it's all those things are there. We need to learn how to make our mind a tool so we can find information like that when we need it. And we can find the peace and the quiet when we need it. And we're not haunted by old memories. It's another thing our linear mind does. It likes to replay movies of the old memories and babble on and on and on and on and on. And over and over and over, like a broken record, it just goes on and on and on. And a tune, people get stuck with some kind of music that they listen to, and it's stuck in their head, and they can't turn it off. That's because the mind is trying to be the jailer instead of your tool. So there you have it. There you go.
When you start.
Haunting.
Mhm.
That word you just used, it truly, that those past memories freezing you. I've heard you use other terms. I'm sure you've used haunting before, but you just heard it today. But that's truly that stuck feeling, of your past memories just haunting you constantly. It was, I have thoughts, but I want Laura, since this was inspired by her.
Well, it all came around.
The story starts.
Yeah, the story starts with in Kay's song ceremony. She tells us that feeling is the doorway. And so we were contemplating what exactly does that mean and how do we apply that in our lives. And through all of our exploration and getting to know our song, we were like, it's hard to put this in words sometimes. Sorry. There's just so much to talk about. Sorry.
Yeah.
There really is, because you can't know the presence of love unless you feel it. And if everything's made out of love, I mean, and then you can't feel that presence of love, there's a block. And we're taught not to really feel. And when we're learning about our song and who we are is a bigger part of who we are, there's all that love in there that you're just not really feeling unless you're open to feeling. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, so love is like that doorway is to freedom and to love. And if you don't know who you are, you can't really feel it. I feel like I'm talking in circles. I'm going to want to give an example. So just the word song or laughter, if you think about those, you really don't have a feeling of it.
But
if you can,
That's so good.
but if you can feel a time when you were laughing or a feeling a time that you were singing or even dancing, there's all have feelings in them, and there's a logical part of it, but then there's a feeling part of it, and that feeling part is woven through everything. It's everything in 3D is feeling. It's that doorway to love and freedom. That's been my experience. But I had to get to that point where I started to explore what really is feeling,
I had the same challenge. It took me a long time to understand. I'm not the fastest student at these practices. In that case, it takes me a while or it's taken me a while. I mean, I've that thinking, my dad was very much think about it. And I really started putting thought and thinking through things on a pedestal, and feeling, not getting caught up in the feelings of stuff. But it was still, as much as I'd want to shut it down, the feelings stuff was always there. And I remember Kay's like, feel your song, feel that time. And I'm like, what does my song feel like? And I'm like, okay, so I went immediately into the thought process of it. And truly, you get into the paralysis of analysis, if I'm in song, am I happy? So, it was like, and I find, that's my mask and the babble and the mind trying to take over. And anytime I start in the analysis side, I end up in paralysis. And maybe it was you who finally it clicked in me. I don't know if you had said it or it just clicked. But I've always walked into homes and felt them. Like there's good stuff here and bad stuff here. Like you walk into and all of a sudden you're feeling, your senses are feeling what's going on. And either you reminded me of that or somehow I got me there. It was that moment where I realized I am feeling all the time. So I just need to point that towards me. And so I did that, and that Humpty Dumpty crack happened that was never going to be patched again. I felt me, and I felt unconditional love. And it was like, linear, mind blowing stuff. My husband loves baseball, and he loves baseball quotes. And they're actually, and he likes to use them a lot on Katasi, I have to say. I'll quote Katasi, and he's like, that was already in baseball. It was like, and some people know, I think it was the 80s or 90s movie Bull Durham. And it's a catcher talking to his pitcher. And, the pitcher's having problems, and the catcher tells them, don't think, Meat. His nickname was Meat. He's like, don't think, you to pitch, you feel, you feel the motions, and you feel the aim, and you go into that feeling. I've never played, I played baseball. I got benched once, but that's a longer story. Obviously I wasn't feeling it, but it's been there with us, and he was accurate. It's just like, there's so many times you got to tune it off and feel, and that's where the accuracy, that's where the connectedness comes.
I'm not cutting you off.
Not at all.
I've kind of developed a thing that helps me to do the feeling better. I start off with saying, I don't know. The innocent, I don't know. And then it kind of goes to, I don't know what this is for. I don't know what a single thing is for. And if you can get to that spot where you don't know, there's a space there to feel. And there's so many times that, just a tree, for example. If you don't know exactly what a tree is for, you open that space for that feeling, you perceive it differently. And the same thing is with the love all around us. I spent a lot of time really trying to open my heart chakra. And one day I just was filled with this love that I can't even begin to express. There's no logic to it. It's been here all along, and I wasn't feeling it because I didn't know how. And I think the more you open those spaces to feel, well, of course, that intuitive thing goes there too. You start to just get that connection to all that is.
I love that. I don't know, because you didn't know what love was. It's just like, I love that. I don't know. Just
becoming innocent, because we label everything. That's what our language does, is it labels it. And if you're experiencing just from that label, oh, that's such a small little picture of what's really there. Yeah, so tiny.
That's such a great tool. Thank you.
I don't know what a thing is for. Not a single thing. I often do that when Kay's about ready to talk. I just try and make that space to try and take in.
I don't know this already.
The ancient teachings. Yeah. I don't know.
And that can be used in so many different things.
Mm-hmm. I also say this to myself too. I'm the creator of my experience, because
excuse us.
Because it starts to make me responsible for what I'm perceiving, where I'm putting my attention, my awareness. And I can jump right, I've kind of trained myself, I can start jumping right into feeling instead of the knowing stuff, the thinking I know. No. Feeling is everything in this 3D world we're in right now. It really is. Yeah.
Grace agrees.
She does.
We can also learn how to feel just things, physical things, objects, or different plants or trees, or different animals, rocks, the water, the air. They're physical things that are pretty dominant dominantly physical in our 3D physical world, but they have a feeling. A big, much bigger piece of them that we're not seeing when we're linearly mind dominant. We don't perceive all the rest of what they really are, but we can feel it. We can learn to feel it. And each thing feels different. You were starting to kind of imply this difference in the feelings. Each thing, like trees, have a certain feeling, and it doesn't feel like dogs, and it doesn't feel like rocks, and it doesn't feel like a human. It feels like a tree. And then you get a little closer and you've got different kinds of trees. And when you feel into that, you could tell, oh, well, that's a juniper tree. And oh, look at that. That's a great big pine tree. And this one over here, that's an oak tree. And down over there, there's a maple tree. And they all have this signature feeling. And that's one of the things that we start looking to identify in our lives, by identifying the feeling of things that we know. In a subconscious way, we have already been doing that. And the way that my teachers, the Hedekas, described it was, it's like you have a dream, and in your dream, there's three people. You can't see them. It's dark. You can't see them. You don't see a silhouette. So, you can't identify, oh, well, that's Uncle Albert. And nobody else has a great big belly like that. And no, you can't see anything. You can't smell them. You can't, there's no hints. They aren't making any sounds, but there's very strong feelings coming from each one. And without a doubt, instantly, that one on the right is your father, and the one in the middle is your mother, and the one on the left is your best friend. And there's no doubt about it. They aren't anybody else. That's who they are. That's what they are. And this is the signature feeling of three different people in your life. And we already have subconsciously picked this out. We have noticed this. We have, when it's pointed out to people, they notice that the cat feels very differently than the mouse or the dog or the horse or an elephant or the rose bush, or whatever things you want to compare. And it's part of the teachings to pursue collecting a conscious feeling library of these signatures. And you can get to where you can, in the healing teachings, you feel disease and disorder. And you can identify where it is in the body and what it is. Right down to, a kind of bacteria that it might be, or a fungus that it might be, or a poison. I ended up having a great deal of experience identifying the feeling of poisons inside people, including myself. And I can pick out the mercury and the arsenic and the lead and maybe some beryllium or titanium, steel, bronze, copper, all the more familiar elements. And they've always tested out positively when they were, tested through the more linear types of methods to find these things inside bodies or in the soil or in a plant. And it adds this other aspect to everything in life. Everything. Whole different aspect to raising your children, cooking, cleaning your house, everything you could think of. And learning these different levels of feeling, the different kinds of feeling, the different signatures that are on these feelings is a great deal of what this pursuit of the nonlinear, this spiritual adventure is about, because that's where all the spirit abilities are. That's part of what they are and where they are, how to get to them. It all starts with feeling. You can't think your way through any of that. You can't think yourself awake. You can't think yourself into magic. You can't think yourself into telepathy. Any of the fancy stuff that some people seem to really, really want these days. I like the fancy tools, the gifts, the powers. They often call them powers. But that's a misleading word, because the power's in the love. But that's a feeling too.
Thank you, Kay. Helen, do you have thoughts? I should say, don't think about it. Do you have feelings?
I was going to say, well, as a guy, feeling comes to us naturally. So
Especially in this modern culture.
Yes, especially. I don't know. I just sit here and listen to you, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude and appreciation for being here, not just on this call and talk, but definitely for that too, but being in this place in my life, not just growing up as a guy in this culture, but growing up as a Germanic, with a Germanic background and Germanic environment, and like everything is about thinking. It's like boys don't cry. And having gone through the years of teachings and living with Kay and experiences and learning and healing and growing and healing all that, and being here today and understanding, at least to a certain extent, the connection to everything. It's all based on feeling it and experiencing that feeling. And that brings you understanding. That brings me understanding. And that's, it's like, I'm still coming back to being just in awe and full of gratitude for being at this place in my life, to understanding much more of that than I used to. And you guys sharing and experiencing you and observing you, and how you kind of are on point with all of this stuff, and then Kay sharing her experiences. It's like, thank you all so much.
No, go.
My experience with feeling is that it just throws me into that gratitude. Now I think of Kay's ceremony, the gratitude ceremony, and at first, you could hear how Kay was saying, thank you for the sun and all the different gratitudes. And all of a sudden, I really started to feel that gratitude, and I could feel everybody else that was doing the gratitude ceremony too, and they were starting to feel that gratitude as well. And it's that feeling that fills up the cup, fills up your cup, and
it's the feeling that brings you into the Technicolor world that I was talking about. I mean, when you wrote Helmet, the doorway, the feeling is the doorway to the magic. It was like, that's it. You start the feeling, but it opens up into, and I mean, it's still opening and for me, but it was like, I was missing so much color in my life and so much stuff happening. I'm still like barely doing it. Like, I mean, I started a tree that's out front from a seedling, and and it's about a 6-foot tree now. And I say good morning as part of my morning ritual, and I can kind of feel it. But today I felt it create like its own auric field, and it invited me to step into the auric field. And I would have missed that whole experience, that I got to step into the thought with it, because it's a feeling thing. I know we call it a thought form, so that maybe got confusing there for a minute. How about a feeling form, a feeling bubble? But it was, there was an invitation. I mean, there's so much going on in every nuance and every moment you can focus your attention and point it to, but it's never going to be a thinking thing. You use the tool, the mind. I've moved into a data processor, data collection. And let the heart kind of do more of the navigating. When I get into song and actually function that way, it's just feeling is such a doorway to this Technicolor world where there is so much more happening on this planet. When Kay says the beauty that's all around us, and it's easy to focus your attention and your linear knowledge on the news you had fed to you in your box. But when you can step out of the box and through this doorway, there's this amazing Technicolor world of a planet we're on, that's just not watching the news. They don't know what we've been told. They're just existing and doing and happy. And that's the Oz I keep talking about. It's there. It's through this doorway of feeling. And it's more of the reality than that box, more of the reality than the Kansas black and white mind that I was experiencing. I mean, that's why you can't go back. I mean, it's like, it's just not that you want to, but it's like, I talk to my husband because, he's not in these practices, but he does the practices kind of with me. And so he, he's having his own experiences with it. And we talk sometimes like we'll experience something and see something, a way of birds interacting, and know that it was connecting with us and sharing something with us. And it was like, and I do that with Laura all the time. I was like, other people miss this stuff. There's all this other world that's right here in front of us. And without, awakening to the feelings, you miss it.
I think a fun feeling to connect with is the gratitude feeling.
Mm.
And one way to do that, or one way I've done that, besides Kay's gratitude ceremony, was to go through and list the things that I'm grateful for, and at the very end just say I'm grateful for, and to just feel that energy, feel it. It fills you up.
The linear mind is a tool. And one of the things we learn from the very beginning in these studies is to try to train it. Try to train your linear mind to get used to being a tool, a handy and appreciated tool. And you can ask your linear mind to remind you to question everything. Question everything. And keep going. Everything that you could think of in our modern world. All the institutions, all the processes, all the way we do things. Question it. Question what society has said is real, is true, has to be. You have to obey this. You have to believe this. Question it. And the mind can start you down the rabbit hole of questioning an item. But you reach a point where it turns into feeling. If you're going to really follow that line, you're going to hit feeling. And why don't you like the feeling of this path that this question led you to, and what you see and have discovered around you about this question? What is it? Why does it feel so bad? What is that feeling? Identify it. If it's uncomfortable in any way, yeah, you gotta keep questioning it.
Another thing with our mind, it's in our culture, it's been programmed and we've been trained to focus on what's wrong, what's lacking, what isn't right, what's missing. And when you get into the feeling, you begin to discover all the enormity of what's there. And that little missing and what's wrong, it's just mind programming BS. But when you're in that and you focus on that, because that's what you have learned to do, you miss the whole universe that's right next to it of beauty and love. And let me tell you, as a Germanic guy, it's a little bit of work to get out of that. But well worth it.
What little I've touched, it's been so much, it's been well worth it.
Me too. It's like, wow. Wow, it just keeps me coming back for more.
Best drug yet. And
I
it's
can't
free.
imagine living any other way.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, beautiful people. Thanks for joining us live, everybody listening and watching. If you have any questions, we have a couple of minutes left. There's a Q&A tab somewhere on your window, on your Zoom window. But if not, we're going to ease out of today's session. Any other thoughts? Anything?
Kay's teaching live. Level 1's coming up and it's live. Level 1 apprenticeship is coming up. Laura and I'll be in it. We'd love everybody else to join us in it too. And the recorded ongoing self-guided classes are mind-blowing and amazing. But to get Kay live.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Yeah, we call that hold on to your lug nuts.
Yes. That's exactly it. We're excited.
Beautiful. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for today. We'll be back next Friday.
We'll be back.
We hope you
And-
join the fun.
Gratitude
Yes.
ceremony and song ceremony tomorrow,
Ooh.
7:30 a.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for
You
joining
guys
us.
are
Love you.
wonderful.
See you next time.